Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Who Code Conversations. I'm Mackenzie Bryant, Senior Program Project Manager at Women Who Code.
I am Sapphire Duffy, a community manager at Women Who Code, and we're celebrating Women's History Month and Women Who Code's 10-year anniversary and reflecting on our journey. So Mackenzie, I remember meeting you for the first time and you were a fellow at Women Who Code leading the mobile track. Where were you in your tech journey at the time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually found Women Who Code after completing a coding boot camp, and I was looking for other mobile developers in the Chicago area when I came across the organization. I really aligned with the mission and vision, and so I saw that they were looking for leadership fellows to lead new online technical track communities. And so I applied for the mobile technical track.
Mackenzie, what's your overall experience been like leading the mobile track as a fellow?
Oh, that's also a great question. I had such an amazing experience growing the online community from the ground up. Many of the volunteers that started in the mobile track alongside me are still very active members. And so it's very rewarding to experience their career growth, many of whom have had their first job as a mobile developer and moved on to a senior developer. I've seen many of our members get promotions, improve their leadership skills by mentoring others in the mobile community. Many have also gone on to receive scholarships, give keynotes at other tech conferences, and even become Google developer experts. So following up with your question, Sapphire, when you first started in the organization, you were director of the Belfast network. Could you tell us a little bit more about that time in your career?
Yeah, so I remember it was the end of summer, and at the time, I was in my placement year as a product owner, and I was about to start my final year of university studying business information technology at Queen's. And I came across Women Who Code when I was in university at the time. I was receiving emails from the current directors of the Belfast network, and I started attending some workshops to learn more and meet other women in tech careers. And as you can imagine, there wasn't that many women in my school at the time. So I wanted to meet more women in tech. So I started attending Women Who Code events. And yeah, at the time, I was volunteering for a few organizations, Google Women Tech Makers, and I was a mentor for a local iOS bootcamp. And I was approached by Claire Burns, who was director of Women Who Code Belfast at the time, and she asked me if I was interested in becoming director of Women Who Code Belfast. And I just couldn't believe that Claire asked me. It was an absolute honour to join the Belfast team, and I was attending their events at the time and co-leading a few events with Claire. And yeah, I was just absolutely thrilled. And of course, I said yes to that opportunity.
That's great. Yeah, I do remember when you were a director at Belfast and meeting all of you at Connect San Francisco in 2019, which I'm sure we'll get into later in this conversation.
Yeah, I guess my experience as a director was like one of the best experiences I've had. And I was director for a few years with Beth Glenfield. And when we joined, there was 5 of us in the team, and we really wanted to grow our team of volunteers to help other women learn leadership skills and help them grow in their careers. So we grew from a team of 5 to 12. And we led a lot of events together, such as the She Rocks Christmas Awards, a few technical workshops, and our hackathon, Hack for Her, which was actually an International Women's Day. We hosted that 2 years ago, and that was our last in-person event before the pandemic. So yeah, that was a lovely last memory in-person event that we had in Belfast. So yeah, and yeah, like Mackenzie said, we met each other, which we'll go into a wee bit later at Connect San Francisco. And I got the opportunity to travel quite a lot with Women Who Code, and I met the global team for the first time at Berlin Re-Rise Summit in 2018. And I just love the opportunity of meeting other directors and the Women Who Code community at these conferences. So I just loved my whole overall experience as director. But yeah, that's kind of how Mackenzie and I got started at Women Who Code. And now we both work here in the program team together. I'm a community manager, and Mackenzie, you are a senior program manager at Women Who Code. Mackenzie, can you explain more about what you do?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of behind the scenes work for our digital and major events. And I also work closely with our engineering team on new product development. So with our digital community and events, on average, Women Who Code hosts 5 events per day. And in 2021, we actually had over 1,700 digital events. So between our networks and our tracks, I think that there's always something for everyone. Our events are free, joining our community is free, and we try to make all of our content accessible as possible. So posting those events and uploading them to YouTube has also been significant in our growth and the development of our community. And then I also work on our major events. So we host 2 Connect conferences per year. And just some fun highlights from Connects in 2021. Our last Connect in November, we delivered it in our whole new brand. So right now we're going through a brand refresh, as you may have seen on our social media and on our podcast and other communications. And so that's been really exciting for us. We're really looking forward to rolling out the rest of the brand refresh to our networks and our community members. And then as far as Connect conferences, we also made intentional efforts to increase networking connections and career connections with the introduction of our career navigation track. So shout out to Anna Sher Wilson. She is our career navigation specialist, and she has made a huge stride to help our members with career transitions. And we've gone on to even accept career-related talks in our conferences instead of just only technical talks. And so we're able to feature even more community members who are working in those different career transitions, or who have experienced navigating their career, or talking about salary negotiations, or taking on a new role at a new company. And so the introduction of this track has been very beneficial to our community. And right now we're currently busy planning for our upcoming Connect conference, Connect Recharge, which is happening on May 26th. We're still accepting applications, so please, if you're listening and you'd like to give a talk at one of our conferences, the applications are open until April 25th. And you can go to womenwhocode.com/connect-cfp to submit your talk. And then going on to product related work, I'm actually really excited to work alongside of our engineering team. We're making exciting changes to our membership experience, as well as the redesign of our website. So I'm really looking forward to rolling out updates on this over the next few months. So Sapphire, now in your role with Women Who Code, you work directly with our community. So could you tell us a little bit more about what you do on the team?
Yeah, sure. So I work closely with our global community of volunteers, which is our network directors, our leads, and evangelists. So we have 70 networks in 20 countries, and networks are cities, and each network has directors leading them. So at the minute, we have over around 260 directors and over 250 leads and evangelists. So we have a lot of volunteers. So I have direct contact with our network directors and communicate with them on a regular basis, and help support them. And I'm also developing and optimizing community management processes and programs while building relationships and celebrating the successes of our volunteers. So I'm so inspired by our community of volunteers, and it's been an honor working really closely with them and watching them grow, and seeing them get promoted in their career, grow in their leadership skills. And it's just lovely to work alongside them and see them grow. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, you can head over to womenwhocode.com /collaboration. And you'll be able to apply to become a volunteer for our networks and also our tracks as well. But yeah, I also organize digital events for our volunteers. So I host regular check-in sessions with them, such as monthly leader hangouts, where we share global updates, volunteer opportunities, and training. And we also have our casual leader conversations, which started in February, which is just a casual opportunity for our directors to get to know each other and share tips and advice with each other. And leadership summits. So we are planning 4 leadership training sessions this year. And the first one is at the end of this month. And it will be an introduction to the Women Who Code leadership mindsets. And this framework helps leaders become familiar with the mindsets that help technologists lead at any level. And I also manage operations such as offboarding and offboarding new directors and updating network assets and support needs. So yeah, so creating a lot of leader tools. Mackenzie and I was like worked together on creating a new leader guide for our directors, which is accessible to all of our volunteers now. So not just directors, but also our leads and evangelists as well. So that's really exciting. Yeah, so before I joined the team full time in November, I was a fellow like Mackenzie. I started part time in May 2020, and this opportunity allowed me to build on my leadership skills while giving back to the community. And I loved it so much. So, as a fellow, you lead and grow a technical track and develop programs, build content, and mentor volunteer leaders. And this experience helped me so much professionally. And I grew my leadership skills and helped me in my full-time position when I was a software engineer. And I was taking on more leadership opportunities at my role. So yeah, like Mackenzie said, it's such an rewarding experience to watch everyone grow in their career and grow within the track communities. So Mackenzie, it is great to look back on where our work started compared to where it is now. So actually Connect San Francisco was the first time that we both met.
Yeah, we actually traveled a lot together for Women Who Code conferences in 2019. So we actually met at the Leadership Summit, which happened the day before Connect San Francisco. And so that is what Sapphire was previously talking about, where leaders can come and practice their leadership mindsets, which now Sapphire leads for our community. And at that time, I was new to Women Who Code. And so I didn't know really anyone in the organization. And so I was looking up active networks before attending this conference, and I came across Women Who Code Belfast because they were a really active network at the time. And Sapphire has always had an amazing online presence and personal brand. And I just remember coming across your Instagram and like being very inspired by you and excited to meet you. And so it was really great to meet you and the rest of the directors that all came to the Leadership Summit. And then we had the Connect conference at Pinterest in San Francisco the next day. And wow, what a really cool experience. Such a diverse lineup of speakers. Some speakers who, were senior software engineers, but that was their first talk at a conference. And how cool to be in the audience to attend that and witness that. And also even more so because it came full circle, because now Sapphire, you lead the training on the leadership mindset. So I'm really looking forward to our upcoming Leadership Summit and meeting all of our new directors that you've been onboarding over the past few months. And in addition to Connect San Francisco, we also traveled a few other times together. We attended the Front End Summit in Berlin. That was actually my first time to Europe. I was so excited that Sapphire would be there because I didn't know anyone else and I was traveling solo. And then my last conference, my last in-person event before the pandemic was Connect New York City, which was held at Microsoft. Wow, that was such a cool experience. I moderated a panel on pathways to leadership. And at the time I was still a leadership fellow. And so to see how far that I've come in my personal pathway to leadership is really, really awesome.
Oh my goodness, that's definitely a trip down memory lane. I remember watching you and the track grow throughout the year and that you were a fellow, Mackenzie, and I was so inspired by you. And then at Women Who Code San Francisco, I joined your group at the Leadership Summit, which was the day before for Connect, and you were leading the brainstorming session, and we all shared ideas for the mobile track, and it was just so much fun. And I just remember looking you up in LinkedIn afterwards, Mackenzie, and just following your whole journey throughout the year. I joined the mobile track on Slack and followed all the socials, and you grew it. You grew the community so much in that space of time. and I just admired everything that you did in that year. So, and then in 2019 was when we went to Berlin, the same year, and I loved that, the front end summit. Um, it was Jennifer Pounder that was leading that summit that year, and yeah, and you were doing your talk, your first iOS talk using augmented reality for wayfinding. And yeah, it was like, that was such a good experience there. And I just remember actually too that Shauna asked me the day before to MC for the conference. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've never did anything like this before. And I'm really glad I said yes, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And Mackenzie, like, you calmed me down and helped me as well. Like, I just remember, like, I was speaking to the global team at the time, and like everyone was like, yeah, you can do it. And I was like, okay, I can do it. So yeah, that was such a good experience. And Connect New York City was just amazing. Like oh wow. And that was like definitely a trip of a lifetime. And the panel that you led, Mackenzie, Pathways to Leadership, I took so many notes away from that panel. Like all the speakers, and it was like I got so many good tips from them. And yes, like the overall experience of all these conferences with Women Who Code is just something that, really helped me grow like in my career so much. So I just want to thank everyone, like the whole global team, for organizing the conferences. And yeah, I just love looking back in the memories. But anyway, so let's move on. So Mackenzie, now you actually organize Connect twice a year, and we have Connect Recharge coming up. So what's the most rewarding part of Connect to you?
Yeah, you also brought up a lot of great memories for me. Giving my first talk at the Front End Summit in Berlin was incredible, and to have your support, because I also felt very pushed out of my comfort zone. But I think that's one of the best parts of our conferences, is that when you're inspired by others that are speaking and taking the stage, you also feel empowered to do the same. And so that kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone, but you're also in a safe space. Like, I've always felt very supported, and I've always been given resources to improve my public speaking. And yeah, so going into the most rewarding part of Connect conferences for me is, I think one of the obvious ones is the diverse representation of speakers that we always have. And so we're very dedicated to being very intentional about the speakers that we do invite to our conferences. And so I've been working on leading and improving our call for proposals process by onboarding volunteers in our community to be a part of our CFP review committee. And so this could be network leads, directors, and it just gives me a chance to get to know our volunteers and for them to make an impact in our conferences as well. So they actually get a say in the programming and the schedule of the conference. And then also providing opportunities for first-time speakers. So in my role, and something that I took on is creating and starting the CFP speaker series. So that was started in 2020 after realizing that many people could benefit from having additional public speaking resources. And so since 2020, we've had various team members contribute to these resources, and you can find them at womnewcode.com/CFP-resources. Another really big highlight of these conferences is seeing the community really come together. We've had many community panels. We just had our Latin America directors give a panel discussion in Spanish in our last conference. And also just witnessing the professional growth of our members. So many are getting a job in the field for the first time, or landing a job at their dream company, and seeing people get promotions and salary increases, and discuss and celebrate all of this at our conferences, which is really amazing. But Sapphire, you've also spoken at Connect and also led technical workshops and panels and so much more. So what is your experience like, and what is your favorite, most rewarding part of Connect?
Yeah, so I absolutely loved my experience at Connect as a speaker. So my first experience was leading a workshop. Um, uh, it was called AI Hero using AWS SageMaker and in New York, the conference that Mackenzie and I was talking about. So I remember feeling nervous before the talk, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. Um, I was with my colleague Chloe and my manager at the time, and it was the best feeling ever, when you deliver a talk or a workshop and you've helped other people and share knowledge with others. And then I also delivered a talk at our first digital conference when I was a fellow, and recently had a panel discussion. So online conferences such as Connected are amazing, and it's more accessible for everyone now. We get to meet people from all over the world, and people can join us when it suits them. And all of the content is recorded for people to watch later, which is what I love about the digital experience we offer at Women in Code. So I learned so much about myself and how to communicate with an audience, and the feeling of teaching others is out of this world, because when I was growing up, I really wanted to be a teacher, and now I get to do that. So I encourage people listening to just give it a try, apply to Connect or our technical tracks or other organizations, and deliver a talk. The content creation side of tech is career changing, honestly, and you learn even more about the topic and grow as a developer or a technologist in ways you never thought was impossible. So there's so many benefits delivering tech talks. You learn when you teach, it helps you clarify your own thoughts, it helps you build your resume, and it can help you land a job as well. So when you deliver and speak at an event, you join a community. It's like a Women Who Code, and learn from others as well. So being here before the pandemic and now where we've had to pivot everything before virtual for our global community, what was it like initially?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So we obviously had to transition from 100% in-person events to 100% digital events. And so it was really important for us at the time to make that content as accessible to our community as possible by uploading it to YouTube. And when I first started uploading our events to YouTube, we only had a little over 1,000 subscribers, and our channel has grown significantly in just 2 years to 14.7 thousand subscribers. And so yeah, at the time we also had to move our conferences to virtual as well. And so that's when we started utilizing the platform Hopin, which we've had all of our virtual events on since, our virtual events as in our conferences. And we also had to find better ways to connect with our directors in our community. And so by being more active in Slack and by surveying our community and figuring out what their needs are for transitioning to online events and what kind of support and tools and resources that they needed. And so that's also what Sapphire and I have been working on with the leader guide, is providing templates for our community leaders to have really effective and exciting online events. Sapphire, could you talk a little bit about how this transition impacted being a fellow? I know at the time you were leading our data science track, and although the track community is entirely online, we obviously didn't have any more in-person opportunities to meet any of our volunteers. So if you could just talk a little bit about how that transition affected your community.
Yeah, I started the position remotely, and we were supposed to fly over to Atlanta to be onboarded by the global team. But instead it was online. And to me, being remotely at the time was challenging because everyone was getting used to this. And but you can see a lot when I joined as a fellow on the blockchain and data science tracks, you can see that the community need us more than ever now. And more people was coming online to communicate with our community and attend our online events. And I think at that time, for me, becoming a fellow made that moment so special, because we were there at a time when people really needed us, and we became a connecting force for everyone. All of our networks came online, and we all were in this together basically. And I think that was a very special moment, when I was to become a fellow.
Yeah, I completely agree. We obviously needed the support of our directors and our community as well to make such a significant transition with our events. And so we really could not have done this without the support of all of our leaders and our directors, taking on the new process of requesting and hosting their events. And we've also had, challenges such as attendance and, the types of events that we're hosting, because everything went online. And so you have to be aware about burnout and the
Absolutely.
so like I was saying before, since our transition to 100% online events, we are still very active with hosting events, on average 5 events per day. And we're consistently uploading these events to YouTube. And so we're always creating new content and making that accessible for our community. There's so many opportunities to get involved. You can be involved as a speaker, as a volunteer, planning events. You can also be involved in our major events, such as the Connect conferences that we've discussed throughout this call. In May, we'll be opening up the new leadership fellow applications. So if you want to lead an online global community, that will be your opportunity. And so as the world is changing, we are consistently trying to survey our community, figure out their needs, figure out ways that they need support, figure out what types of events they want to attend, and what kind of information that they need to learn that will help make them successful in their career and will really, help them progress forward.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to more women joining and taking advantage of the amazing programs and support that we offer, continuing to grow worldwide and connecting with each other.
Exactly. Our members are making history inside and, of course, outside of Women Who Code. The best way to support us is to join, volunteer, and donate on womenwhocode.com. Joining our community and attending our events is free. It's been really lovely reflecting on our journey together at Women Who Code. Thank you so much, Sapphire, for joining this conversation with me. And for the rest of you watching, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at Connect Recharge in May.